Wednesday. Let's do this. Topics galore. This is Osiris. Thank you for joining. Stuck in the middle. About to get it started. We are about to get it in. Another live. Great topic. A great topic today. Let this intro ride out for a couple more seconds and we will get started. I'm trying to set up a monitoring system so I know when I'm on mute. There's nothing more lame than being that guy on mute. I don't know what I'm going to do with my hair and my beard. I gotta figure that out real quick because it's looking rough. What is up? Man, we live in a great country, don't we? I talk about that a lot. America. I played a clip from a homeless man who makes $600 a month, gets 200 food stamps, and has Amazon Prime, Netflix on his cell phone. I hesitate to say we're the greatest country ever just because I haven't lived in a lot of other places. I haven't even visited a lot of other countries, only a couple. And unless this pandemic thing dies down, I don't know if that's going to change. But my wife took our dog to the vet and comes home. This is why I'm thinking why America is such a great country. And he's got this band on his leg. I'm like, what the hell is that? Is he okay? Our dog's name is Ryder, named after the human on Paw Patrol, ironically. Kids love Paw Patrol. So I'm like, what the hell is that orange or is green, this green thing on his leg? My wife's like, it's like a doggy Fitbit. I'm like, come again? Like any money that's spent somewhere, I'm like, that's money we could put in Tesla. Like what a doggy, wait, what? Our dog has a Fitbit. Like if that doesn't make you stop and pray, I'm being dead serious. I'm not joking. If that doesn't make you stop and pray, for me, I'm talking about me now. If you have things like that, niceties, if that doesn't make you stop and pray to be grateful for to be alive and to be in a great country, then I don't know what will. Our dog has a Fitbit. What's good, y'all? Oh man, I got a lot of topics. Look at this. Thank you. Caught me on the early stream. I gotta do something. Because I want to say Dina Marie has entered the chat. Always great to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I think it's pretty great. I think America, why can't we say that? I think America's pretty great. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Obviously, we don't live in utopia, but it's okay to say it's great and be grateful. We have a border collie. Pat Hacker asked what kind of dog. We have a border collie. My wife has grown up her whole life. This is her fourth border collie in her life. I met her when she was on her third. So this is our second together. Border collies are very smart dogs, wonderful dogs. This is a purebred border collie. A lot of energy. So there's times where my wife's like, I don't know if we should have got him. I'm like, too late now. Now me and him we cool. So he's not going anywhere. Yeah, very smart dogs. Pat Hacker replies. Very smart dog. Casual Goats made some time. I'm gonna have to get into the topics. He made some time. Good luck. I know you had some things to do, a demo for welding. Got some talented people in the group, man. I was just talking earlier, chatting on Twitter. I'm going to get into the story. If you're just joining the channel for the first time, I just go through stories and just chat with people. That's all it is. But right now, I haven't jumped into any stories yet. Just saying hi to everybody. What is good? Cheese Whiz. But I was chatting with somebody online. Oh, it was actually not. It was in the thread with James Lindsay. And James Lindsay, if you don't know, like he's very big on exposing the fraud of the cult of critical theory of gender or race. And he tweeted something that I forgot what it was, but I was like, I think it was a social credit score. Actually, I'm going to touch on that. He was talking about like how we're getting towards a social credit score. And I was like, I can't, like, I'm too far gone from that. I am not going to be able to conform to be able to have a good credit score to live in society. I think that's inevitably going to happen. So I said, I'm going to have to go off grid. I'm going to have to go off grid. And if we have to go in the gulags, it is what it is. But, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you're gonna go off grid, and all these skills like welding and all kinds of different things, farming come in handy. I'm not exactly following the Tim Pool arc, but I see how Tim Pool years ago he was actually for some, I believe, for gun control in a ways, and now he's packing heavy. So I've made somewhat of a similar digression, or no, progression. I'm not doing all the guns and all that, but I see how he got there. That's for sure. I'm going to get into the radar. This is when I just talk about topics, and I don't plan on going on for more than 2 minutes a topic here. Especially, I think it's a good way to start the show. I'm going to keep trying to do this just as quick hitters. Then I'm going to get into the headline topics. Justin Trudeau. I've never seen a leader look more weak. He looks more weak than Joe Biden. And that's probably why Joe Biden was like, well, not Joe Biden, but the Democratic establishment was like, let's pull back on some stuff because this trucker stuff, we don't want that. We don't want those problems here. But Justin Trudeau looks weaker than Joe Biden. Believe it or not. That's just my opinion. Let's kick it off with the radar. What do we got going on here? Police encourage people to rat out ex-partners in Valentine's Day post. Happy post-Valentine's Day, everybody. I hope you didn't get ratted out by an ex. I mean, there's something you could rat almost anybody out for, but the police are encouraging that. They actually tweeted this. Valentine's Day can still be fun, even if you broke up. Do you have information about a former or current? Let me bring that back. Do you have information about a former or a current? I forgot about the current part. You know what? Just forget the Valentine's Day, forget the partner, just rat. Now, it's only ratting if you're doing dirt with them, but wow. Got friends, family, lovers, husband, wives, yep, going to turn on each other. Do you have them involved in illegal gun activity? Now, of course, if they're a danger to society, you got to do what's right. But we've politicized literally everything. Like Valentine's Day. Let us know. And we'll make sure it's a Valentine's Day to remember. What kind of world are we living in? No, seriously. They couldn't just leave Valentine's Day alone. They have an agenda on Valentine's Day for you to rat out your partner. Make sure it's a great one. Oh, man. Famed pollster says the left could see an exodus of working class voters of all races in 2022. And this famed pollster cautions against relying on Obama for campaigns. I wonder, why would they say, does anybody know that? Why? Obama was that dude, right? Why would they say they're worried about relying against this dude? He hit that shot. Remember, he hit that shot to Wall. That's what I do. That's what I do. That's what I do. Yeah, he had to take the mask off. He had to, like, did you hear me? Oh, the Obama years, the guy that I voted for twice. Let's revisit the successes of Obama. Why wouldn't you want him to rally with you? Oh, 3 days after his inauguration, he launches his first drone strikes. Oh, even before the inauguration, he has Citibank privately vetting his cabinet. Oh, bailing out Wall Street, but not the people whose homes were foreclosed upon. Are these successes or failures? Expanded the state secret doctrine, maintained and continued Bush's rendition policy, escalates the war in Afghanistan, NSA spying. Remember? Eric Holder's like, the banks are too big to fail. They had no risk. If they're too big to fail, Eric Holder, that means they have no risk. That's not a free market. Fast and Furious. Obama was the first Nobel Peace Prize winner in history to bomb another Nobel Peace Prize winner. Why did they build a drone base in Niger? Be careful when you say that word. Why did we build a drone base in Cameroon? You know what? Obama's actually the one that drove. You wonder why we have all these young people with communist, literal communist and socialist flags? Because they know, or they knew their parents voted for Obama and saw what he did. Then they saw what the Democratic Party did to Bernie Sanders. And they said, you know what? We hate capitalism. And even though I disagree, can you blame them? Yeah, don't rely on Obama. We're not in the mood for that. CNN guest claims Super Bowl halftime show a bad day for the BLM moment. Rapper Eminem kneeled during his performance in Los Angeles, but obviously they didn't feel like it was enough. Well, number one, we don't care about Black Lives Matter anymore. You destroyed historical monuments, or you didn't denounce those who did strongly enough. You want us to celebrate Black History Month, but you hate Martin Luther King Jr., whether you are going to admit it or not. We don't need to see any more of this. It's not a failure. Your whole movement's a failure. Stop using the words. Your hate merchants, that's the only thing you provide for us is hate. What are you grateful for? People don't care. You're the boy who cried wolf. Miss me with this. I have no interest. Moving on. Chinese basher Enes Kanter, freedom now, gets traded, then waived by the Houston Rockets. Now, I don't agree with Enes Kanter on a lot of things or everything, but it's important to note, the NBA does a lot of business in China. So anyone who speaks out against China, you're in danger. Now, Enes Kanter was at best the sixth man when I used to follow the NBA, and that was years ago. He was at best the sixth man. So I don't know how good he is now, but he's probably garbage. No one really respected him back then. But can you speak out against China and their human rights violations and all their atrocities, allegedly? Can you speak out against them and keep your job in the NBA or damn near any Hollywood job? That's what's worth noting there. As a side note, he was going to speak at the Political Action Conference and pulled out of that. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure why he was invited or why he pulled out. U.S. trending towards China's social credit enabled by big tech. Kara Frederick. I like saying epic. I think it's epoch. I like Epoch Times for highlighting this. Not many people are. Big tech companies are doing the bidding of the U.S. government that in actions that could easily mirror China's social credit system. That's the only end game here. That's got to be where it goes. She has this report that I'm going to read. I'm not going to get in depth here, but if somebody's calling it out, I'm going to give them some props and highlight them. The integration of government and big tech companies to police speech. we're seeing a lot of that integration with government and private industries. I'm going to check out that program. I'm going to follow up with this with more stuff. Just came out today. U.S. reportedly accuses financial blog Zero Hedge. I really like Zero Hedge. I've used quite a few of their articles. They're the ones that blew up the tax, the billionaires not paying their tax. So they do a lot of good stuff. And I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not going to, I don't know. I'll have to read more about it, but they're saying that they're publishing Russian propaganda. Now, keep in mind, the U.S. government would say Tucker Carlson is spewing Russian propaganda. So I don't know if I believe what y'all have to say. But this was through the Associated Press. American intelligence officials told the AP that the Zero Hedge has spread Russian propaganda. Again, they're very loose with their terms. They said that, wait, they don't have any direct ties. We're not saying that. So then what are you saying? They're saying they republish stories from Russian state-controlled outlets. You know, are the stories true or not? That's what I care about more than anything. This one's dark. San Francisco DA, this is Chesa Boudin. What's going on with this recall? Wasn't he on a recall? Like, it seemed like that was like 3 years ago. I have to follow up on that. He denounced the use of these kits from victims of the most heinous crime you could possibly imagine. So, you know, when that crime is committed, it's even difficult just to talk about in passing. It's so ugly. You take a kit and you get your DNA. The San Francisco PD have been harvesting the DNA from victims who took these kits for investigations. And no, they didn't ask for permission. Yeah, good question. Where else is this happening? One of the more eye-opening, shocking stories. I keep saying that, so it doesn't mean anything anymore. We have to fight for protection. Protecting people. Inexcusable. Even leftists were disgusting. I'm not talking about real. I'm talking about corporate leftists were like, damn, that's terrible. This is so bad. It united corporatists, pro-authoritarians, populists left and right. Everybody was denouncing this. That's how ugly and bad it was. They've been entering these assault victims' DNA profiles in a database and then cross-referencing. That raises some questions. ACLU, are you involved or do you care? That's my radar for the day. Let me know what you think. We'll get into the main topics in a minute here. Just check out the comments. Make sure I haven't been on mute the whole time. I didn't set up my mute monitoring, but it looks like from the chat I am not. I saw this Obama comment. Let me bring this up, see what this is about here. Victory Garden, thank you for stopping by. Many of us uninformed ex-liberals were deceived and voted for Obama. So crazy Obama got a Peace Prize. That was one of it. It wasn't a red pill moment, but when that happened, I was like, yeah, that's a little weird. I didn't denounce Obama anything. I voted for Obama twice. You know, young. And these parties, the establishment, Democrat, GOP, they feed off of ignorance, literally. A lot of the stuff that we talk about here in this chat and on this channel, nobody even knows. Spread the word. Bishop said, what the F? That's crazy. It's crazy. I just don't want, because I have another story coming up that I called one of the lowest moments in American journalism. So I don't want to keep on using that term, but I don't even know what to say. That story was crazy. Victory Garden voted for Obama twice. I'm just glad that we are in a better place right now. I'm glad that we are both objective enough to acknowledge there was a mistake. It was a feel-good moment. The Obama moment was a feel-good moment. I think the country wanted that. Now we know it wasn't based on substance. Y'all won't believe what I have to talk about it today. Maybe you will now. But my first story that I'm going to go into, this is three live shows in a row. I'm going to indirectly mention this topic. Ye's coming up again. I just the story came up, the funny one with Hillary. Ye was probably telling a joke. It was a little awkward and all that. I wanted to talk about it. Then Ye and Julia Fox broke up. It was like, okay. And then Julia Fox had the hustler line in it. I was like, I got to talk about this. And then now it's a little bit darker, I would say. I mean, what's happening right now is a little bit darker. But Kanye, before and after, how it started, how it's going, young Ye, that now he's in a ski mask. Yeah, that's where it is. Still talented. Love it. College dropout and all his classics. I mean, throughout, flashing lights, and he's, auto-tune master. But I'm wishing the best for him in all seriousness. He was texting with his ex, Kim K. She said to Kanye, she's texting him like, you're creating a dangerous and scary environment and someone will hurt Pete, and this will all be your fault. I mean, this is serious. She's just like, man, what's going on? Like, this is, this is a dangerous time. Like, I'm no psychologist, but you talk about a psychotic break. I've heard that term before. You're separated, however that is. You're not seeing your kids like the same way. It's not the same family stuff. Maybe you thought it would be good if you separated. I don't know the ins and outs. I'm just talking about in general. But then now you're like, damn, this isn't what I wanted. Can I go back? Nah, man. It's not that easy. You can, but it's not that easy. It takes two. So you're texted back and forth, and Kim's like, well, thank you. There are dangerous people out there, and this is scary, and it doesn't have to be. Remember, didn't somebody roll up in Kim K's crib a while back, if I'm not mistaken? Man, this is for real stuff we're talking about. And then Kanye replies, said, I will always do everything to protect you and our family forever. Now, notice he didn't say anything about Pete. He's like, I'm going to make sure that you and the family is good. So that's a good sign, because you're scaring me, Ye, right now. And I'm going to get to the point at the end here. I'm going to get to a point that's more general at the end. It's not just T. And he said, and I listened to you and told everyone to make sure nothing physical happens to Skeet. So he's calling this dude Skeet. Then he tweets on Instagram, the headlock is with that Tyrese or somebody. Is that from a movie? I don't even know the reference there. I'm not a big movie guy. And then he says, up on my wife's request, please, nobody do anything physical to Skeet. I'm going to handle the situation myself. What? Come on, man. Yay. Okay, let's go back to college. I mean, we can't. He's not going to be the same. You got money now. You already had a taste of Kim, and now you lost that. Now you're out here looking for a fake Kim. Something's not right. If you break up with a woman and you're going and you're looking for, and I'm allegedly, I don't know what's in his head, but you go try to date somebody who looks exactly like your ex, something ain't right. Something ain't right. I'm going to pray for you. What's her name? I forgot her name. I don't even care. Yay, ski masked up. Something ain't right. That's not normal, man. Good news is he said he's taking accountability. We don't know what that means. He said sharing the screenshots. Like, we got private text. Why are you putting people's private texts out there? I take accountability. I'm learning in real time. He said, pretty much sorry if it came off as I was harassing you. Notice he said Kim. Didn't say anything about Pete. I'm going to just end with this. I went through difficult times in my life. Nothing like this type of tea. Out of school, I went and did a job that just didn't meld with me. Great job. I was in a field called actuarial science. So it was a great opportunity, great job, but I was young, wasn't ready for that, the everyday thing. Fell out of that industry, and then I got into actually originating loans right when the crash happened. So I was writing up loans. Right, I got a taste of it where everybody was. Do you know how easy it was to get a mortgage back then? Oh, you just write them up. Everybody was getting paid. Everybody was getting paid because it was so easy to write them up. And I got in it right at the end, right, and then the bubble burst. Boom! All these small little companies that were writing up these loans. I mean, I was literally just calling people up. It was like, hey, do you need a loan for your house or something? Do you want a house? Just literally cold calling people. Like, you an apartment, you might as well get you a home. A part of the destruction. I would aim high, though, not at the loan originators. But that stopped. Then I fell on hard times, was living in my car a little bit. I was a bell attendant. Nothing would make you more humble than being a bell attendant. I actually met Jerome Bettis. I was in the Detroit area. Rod Marinelli, all the Detroit players during that time. Some celebs. I never forget. One celeb was at the Dearborn. I was at the Dearborn Hyatt Regency. There was a celeb, I forgot. It was one of the Wayne's relatives, R&B singer. And I wanted to get a good tip. And I would always take his bags when he was there. He would stay up in the top suite. And he would give me good tips. One time he texted me, called me up to the room. I don't know why, but this is probably one of my lowest moments, but I still did it. He wanted me to run across the street to like Dillard's or whatever it was and buy this dude a pair of drawers. So I'm mid-20s right now. And for a good tip, I came back. He gave me $100 tip to do it. We were cool. We talked and all that. It was a dude. I forget his name. But one of my lowest points, I went across the street from a hotel to a mall to buy a dude some drawers. Like, we all go through hard times. And my point is, it's okay if you need to get help and see a therapist. Like, this isn't back in the day where there's some stigma to see a therapist. I talk about go work out, go exercise, at least walk. You got to do the same thing with your mind. And it wasn't easy for me. I was like, a therapist and all this. And then after my wife and I got married, we saw a counselor and stuff just to work through, like, when we have disagreements and, stuff that happens in your childhood still comes up later on. It's healthy. That's my point. Let me know what you think. What's up? I'm always scared to go back in the chat because of the mute thing or whatever. Cause I'm like, what did I miss in the chat? Am I doing something wrong? Or what's up, everybody? I don't know how to pronounce, that name here, because I seen all set full. What's up in the chat there? That's how I'll pronounce it. Casual Goat says, I was talking to a therapist recently talking about the insanity of Cali being too progressive, and she said, wow, I guess there can be a point where progressivism goes too far. Mm-hmm. And I like that when it's a two-way conversation. You know what opened me up to the idea of going to a therapist? I know it sounds crazy and stupid, but I always thought in a weird way the therapist on The Sopranos was hot. You know who I'm talking about? And they always had that tension, and I thought she was good too. Another show that got me was HBO's In Treatment. That show is amazing. I love that show. Really lesser known show a lot of people didn't know about. That actually, after seeing that show, actually helped me say, oh, it's okay to go to treatment. And then I realized, like, hey, you work out. You got to work out your mind too. Get your mind right. I'm praying for Kanye and his family. However it works out, you just want it to work out where everybody's safe. What's good, everybody? That was my first segment, was on Ye. Three episodes in a row? We're talking about Ye? That's not normal. But hey, it comes up. It's what's up, what was on my mind. I tied it into something that I was passionate about. I want to talk about New York City. Next segment. We are entering the next segment, New York City. It's something that's it's inexplicable to me what's happening. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. Mayor Adams fires 1,430 New York City workers for refusing to get that thing, that jab, for refusing to take the syringe. Even after where we are now, he continued this over from de Blasio. Is this necessary, Mr. Adams? Like, is it still needed? What is this about? Because obviously it's not about what you purport it to be about. Are we really doing this? This is nuts. You look at from Trudeau to Biden to Eric Adams to LA County, these establishment folk, they don't know anything other than control. They have psychological problems. I hope he's a one-term mayor. If he's not, then that's going to be up to New York to speak. I hope somebody primaries him. I don't know where we're going with this. Where everybody's peeling stuff back all over the world. Eric Adams says our goal was always to do this thing with the needle, not terminate. And he said, city's workers stepped up and they met the goal placed before them. But those who didn't got fired, though. Reportedly, it was like 4,000 or so recently that didn't report their status. And then as the deadline came close, procrastinators or people who wanted to keep their job. All this is the same thing that Justin Trudeau said, and Macron said the same thing when Macron said we have to make life miserable or something. We have to get under their skin or whatever. There's so many villainous statements, but from so many world leaders, I can't keep track anymore. But Justin Trudeau, at least he was honest. He said in an interview a while back that those who do not receive this experimental drug are often racist and misogynistic extremists. Eric Adams believes the same thing, in my opinion. He just doesn't have the balls to say it. He doesn't have the cojones to say it. His actions say it. Let me know what you think. Can't believe we're still doing this in these Democratic hellholes. Oh, we're going to talk about Trudeau. That's a good segue into the next one. Truckers have exposed Mr. Trudeau. Eric Smith says Justine Trudeau. Hey, it's the people are speaking out, and I think you have to listen. And what's happening in America is very much pertinent. Let's take a look at it. The Canadian media can't stay silent any longer. Not just the Canadian media. I thought the Toronto Sun was a corporate leftist rag. So I don't know. I don't follow them that much. But Toronto is very similar to New York. Beautiful city. Love Toronto. Haven't been there in a long time, but what a city. At least I haven't been there for over 20 years. So that's what Trudeau has gone too far. He's gone absolutely too far. And I'm going to get into the Declaration of Independence. But you look around the world in Australia, leading scientists are they're saying like, hey, the mandates, we're not really for them. Our science that we're looking at doesn't match your science. But Prime Minister, this is from the Toronto Sun, Justin Trudeau's unjustified invoking of the Emergencies Act is deeply problematic and will have long-lasting consequences for the country. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't want to give in. He doesn't want to compromise. He doesn't want to lead. Ever since the Freedom Convoy first touched base in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago, the Prime Minister has gone out of its way to increase tensions. He's not de-escalating things, he's increasing tensions. That's not leadership. It's time to try to de-escalate things, not escalate things. So they were hoping, in my opinion, and this is from the Sun, that there was going to be some type of setup like J6. So J6 happened, you can you justify you doing stuff. It's been peaceful. So he still went ahead and did it. He's like, I have no choice. The only violence that occurred was from someone who was allegedly associated with the Tifa group. He's called these protesters every name in the book. He's given himself crazy powers. He can freeze people's bank accounts without court order. That's even bypassing a social credit score. You don't even get a chance to get a credit score. We're just going to freeze your account. I don't know who Kevin Vickers is. I will have to read up. People like Canadian Hero is on, according to the Toronto Sun, the sergeant at arms who personally thwarted the 2014 terrorist attack on Parliament Hill. He's called for calm and dialogue. So I don't know who he is. I can't vouch for him, but I can vouch for calm and dialogue. Dialogue. That's what we need. Even if you do it indirectly, if you don't want to kind of make it public. Trudeau doesn't want that, though. He wants division, more hostility. We're going to talk about that. It appears to be in his spirit that the Prime Minister has decided to invoke this Emergencies Act for the first time in Canadian history. At least 4 premiers opposed him. So the only thing that can be said, this is how the Toronto Sun ended it, is that his incompetence made this extreme measure, or is the only thing that could justify this extreme measure. Nothing, in my opinion, could justify this. So where do I take this? America. Patriot Act does not require banks to notify you that your account is being investigated. They can do the same thing. They can freeze your account without telling you. So I talked about Brandon Straka was on the Capitol steps for 8 minutes, didn't do anything, wasn't involved in anything. You can get your bank account frozen. They froze him out of PayPal, all the major credit cards. Trump's got to do better. America First has to do better. Trump signed into legislation to reauthorize the Patriot Act. I don't want to talk about impeaching Brandon. There's no one who's doing more to progress the America First agenda than Brandon. Why would you want to impeach him? Let him stay there and promote y'all. I need to hear about this kind of stuff. Let's get into the details. I follow Queen Josie of All Liberty. She was on Tim Cast at one point, and she took it exactly where I was taking it.
Hi guys. So I want to talk about the intolerable acts, or the coercive acts, which were the acts imposed by Parliament onto the colonists following the Boston Tea Party. Now there's 5 of them, but 4 of them applied directly to the colonists. They were the Quartering Act, which was quartering soldiers in the houses, which is why we have a Third Amendment. There was the Massachusetts Government Act, which took away a lot of the privileges that Massachusetts had to kind of self-govern. Then there was the Administration of Justice Act, which allowed British soldiers to punish rioters. And then there was the Boston Ports Act, which closed down Boston Harbor until the colonists paid back what would be about $1 million in damages to the crown. Now, none of that ever happened. They said absolutely not, and they held their ground, and they never paid that back. Boston ended up reopening its own port in 1783. Like, they really didn't cave at all, and that's the kind of power that you have to do when you are trying to spearhead a revolution. Now, I believe the freedom protest, the truckers, this could be the powder keg. I feel like it's the real the first real protest we've seen that has teeth. Like, you've seen protests over in Europe and stuff that are really, strong, but those are just people. These are truckers, and they carry a lot of power. And I think they realized their power, which is why the freedom protests worked in a lot of different provinces of Canada. It's why, America was going to have one. It was going to stretch from LA all the way to DC. And when they got wind of that, DC lifted their mandates today. So we know where the power lies. The people are the truckers. And they're the ones who keep the world going. They're the ones who keep the countries alive. And, God bless them. God bless them all.
She took it exactly where I was taking it. I'm going to end with this. This is what we need right now, is more of a revolutionary type of movement. I know this is Canada, but I'm just going to talk generally. When you talk about America and the founding, at some point, she was talking about the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party. At some point, you could say it was about high taxes, taxation without representation. You could say it was because the British Army, they forced citizens to house them, to quarter them. You could say because they didn't have their own government, they were so far away from England. Well, really what it's about is respect for their basic rights. That's what it was in 1776 in the Declaration of Independence, which starts off when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. You can say what you want about the founding fathers, but they wrote a hell of a documents, and it's still applicable right now. Let me know what you think. Let's go to the next one in a second. Jump in the chat. What's up, Honkler? Thank you for stopping by. Next one is I appreciate the feedback. Somebody hit me up. I'm not Kanye, so I'm not gonna put out who hit me up privately. But and even in the chat yesterday, got good feedback that it was a little confusing when I went over the Hillary stuff, what's going on in the news right now. And I think no excuses, but I think in my head, I'm just too worried about the algorithm, what gets taken down, what's not saying people's names and stuff. And I can't, that's not the reason why it is confusing, but I think I'm letting that make it even more difficult. So I want to talk about, again, telling a little bit of the story of what I know, what's happening. Some of it I didn't even realize until recently because it happened in late September last year, and I didn't pick it up. So I want to talk about what happened with this whole Hillary thing. So you might be seeing the headlines and all that, Hillary as the spy. And I appreciate you, Eric Smith. Thank you for the super chat. He said, don't forget we have the Convention of the States option, which is the last nuclear option when the Fed has gone totally out of control. Absolutely. And we might be getting closer to that, looking up at the midterms. That is absolutely an option. Thank you for the super chat as well. I wanted to make sure to get that in while you're able to still join. So you might be seeing the headlines with Hillary the spy. What's happening? Many of you might already be familiar, but just for people who are not, what we're talking about is a story which is, I think, centers around this person right now, who is Michael Sussmann, attorney. So if you want to figure out, okay, what's happening here, what's going on, who's this, who's that, Michael Sussmann, he's a former federal prosecutor. He represented the DNC. He retained CrowdStrike to examine servers after the Wiki DNC leak. Establishment as you can get. You can't get much more establishment than this. Directly tied to Hillary Clinton. Represented the DNC, obviously. So that's who he is. So what happened is that he, in April of 2016, was retained by the DNC after the servers were hacked and the information got leaked to WikiLeaks. And he was basically like their cybersecurity type of dude, as far as like the legal side of things. Then that brings in the guy who was known as the tech executive one in the documents, Rodney Jaffe. At the time, he was a senior vice president at New Star. So he was the tech guy that I didn't know his name of yesterday, which caused even more confusion. So he was a tech executive there. He claimed that he was offered the top cybersecurity job by the Democrats. Jaffe on the right here was. So he wanted to get in with the establishment, in my opinion, based on what we're seeing here. He was anti-Trump, at least to a certain extent, said he would definitely not take the job under Trump. That is a quote in an email, not speculation. Like I said, he's the tech executive one. So we have Michael Sussmann and we have Rodney Jaffe. Those are the two guys that we're looking at right now. So now, what happened back then? This is old news I'm going over right now. Nothing new yet. As far as recently, this is back in late September, early October. This is when this broke last year. So the indictment in September from the special counsel alleged that Jaffe, Sussmann, and our good friend of show. Sometimes friend of show really means not friend of show. Like when I say Dina Marie, Casual Goats, and AZ Patriot, I really mean friend of show. In this case, I'm joking. Mark Elias is not a friend of show. He's anti-Trump. He is deep state, in my opinion. He was also a partner at this law firm. They allegedly all got together, coordinated, and communicated about this fake Alpha Bank story that was a Russian bank. So they got together allegedly and talked about this. Oh, we can get Trump on this fake ties to this Russian bank. And they're alleging that Sussmann was billed by the Clinton campaign, which means he was representing her. To me, that might be a legal thing, but to me, it doesn't matter. He was retained by them. I know he was working with them. So legally, because I think the argument that Sussmann might be saying is there are times when I was on the clock or off the clock. That's a legal game. For me, just looking at the big picture, that doesn't matter anything. You're connected with Clinton and the DNC. Sussmann also allegedly pitched these allegations, which at the time Jaffe knew were wrong. He knew it was a red herring. He knew it was wrong. The tech guy, who was supposed to be the one getting this information, knew there was nothing there, but they were still pushing it. And we'll get to this in a second, to media outlets, including the New York Times. We're going to get to that in a second. Let me finish this first. In the indictment, Jaffe himself acknowledged that it was, quote, a red herring, meaning it was garbage. It was bullish, not bullish, bullish. Through that, they were drawing up, even though they knew that, they drew up this white paper and went to the FBI. So Sussmann went to the FBI and was like, I'm just a concerned citizen. Can you believe this? This dude tied into the establishment at the highest level. If you're tied into the Clintons, you are tied into the establishment at a level that only Billy G would be higher than. He went to the FBI and purported himself to be just a concerned citizen. Now, if the FBI is worth anything, they would know that's not even possible. But I'm not going to get into that. Hopefully this is clearer than telling a story of it is clearer than what I did yesterday. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'll check the chat out periodically. So Durham indicted Sussmann last September. So all old news at this point. Nothing new here so far. I didn't know it though, because I wasn't following it closely enough. I just knew this. I just learned this. So they charged him because they said, bruh, you went to the FBI. You said you were just some random concerned citizen. And we all know you're tied into the party. Why would you even do that? You're putting our integrity at risk. Like, what are we supposed to do? Ignore you? All this is happening in 2016 while Trump's running for election. So let me take a break and check out the chat, and we'll continue with the story. Dina Marie, thank you so much. Keep me motivated to keep on going. Appreciate you. She likes the content. Trying to do better, trying to be better. As always, I appreciate that. So he went to the FBI with this white paper that they know is not true. It's wrong. That's why people in the chat yesterday were saying you can say they were smearing him allegedly. So thank you for the chat. That made me go back and say, wait a minute. Oh yeah, they did. There was proof that at least one of them knew that this was wrong. So they're trying to take down Trump before the election, even with this fake story about this bank. This is where they said, this is from the Post. I'm taking this clip from Sussmann saying, hey, I'm just a concerned citizen. I'm not, I'm just a patriot, basically. I want to give you this information. What patriot can just walk into an FBI office and get this information at the highest level? They thought it would help create a narrative that was harmful for Trump. The whole point of Sussmann's FBI meeting was his role as a partisan, deep state, establishment Democrat person acting on behalf of the Clinton campaign to spread bogus information, allegedly. I want to make sure I'm saying that. A damaging story about Trump through friendly and gullible journalists. That's what happened. So now I'm revisiting when Hillary made the deplorable comment. Now I'm revisiting that because this happened. All this was happening right before she did the deplorable comment was in September of 2016. All this stuff that we're talking about is from like April to July, the summer of 2016. Remember, she didn't visit Wisconsin. She thought she was going to have it in the bag. Trump can't beat me. I'm not visiting Wisconsin, barely visited Pennsylvania and other swing states. And then called people who supported Trump a basket of deplorables.
Put half of Trump supporters in a basket of deplorables. Put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
While her behavior this whole time was deplorable at a level that is way closer to these strong terms of sedition, insurrection, and such than J6. Why do you think people in J6 who did it was stupid? It was not a good act of non-compliance. Like the truckers were a smart, maybe they learned from J6. But you want to know why they were gaslit? It was stuff like this.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
Why do you think that word deplorable had been circulating in your mind?
I'm going to break this up because they do the copyright stuff so quick. I got my last live got taken down. I didn't have time to do the little clips. They don't take it down if you do like the little clips, but I played too much, so they just took it down. I didn't get a strike, thankfully, though. But
well, I thought Trump was behaving in a deplorable manner. I thought a lot of his appeals to vote.
No. You didn't call Trump. No. You didn't call Trump deplorable, whether you can argue that or not.
You could put half of Trump supporters into.
You called half of his supporters that you could put them in a basket of deplorables. So let me fast forward to the end where she gets tested on this a little bit more.
Effective reality TV star
You
in
fed
our
into
presidential
that, though.
campaign.
When you said basket of deplorables, you energized.
No, but they were already energized.
But you offended some people who didn't personally feel deplorable at all.
I don't buy that.
Of course she doesn't buy that. Now I'm going to get into the New York Times. So that's the end of that. I had to break it up into 2 segments because it was long. Let me check out the chat real quick. Now I'm going to get into the New York Times article that basically it was like a fact check without using the title fact check. I think the fact check title is losing its power because people don't like it anymore. So they didn't do a full fact. They did do some. Snopes did a small one, but this was a detailed article by Charlie Savage. Oh yeah, I'm feeling it now. Deplorable baby. Having fun in the chat. Thank you. It was kind of a tough topic in a way, so I'm glad to see everybody's having fun in the chat. Let's go to the next segment, continuation. I tweeted today that this article that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to back up why I said this. This is one of the lowest moments in the history of American journalism. No hyperbole. I'm not going to say it's because I don't know every moment. It is one of the lowest moments. We're going back to this quote. Sussmann allegedly pitched the allegations that we know that he knew allegedly we knew that Jaffe knew was bull. They went to the New York Times with it. You think the New York Times knew it was bull? Of course they probably did, allegedly. So they took that there. So can you understand? So Sussmann went to the New York Times. So imagine you have a newspaper and the lawyer comes to you with a white paper, just basically a whole thing detailing why Donald Trump he's working with the Russians. And you find out it's a lie. Wouldn't you be angry or at least point that out? Instead, the New York Times has a headlines that say court filings started a fervor in right-wing outlets, but their narrative is off track. You're the ones that had lies fed to you directly by the guy who's being indicted. And they come out with that? This is Charlie Savage. I quote from the article, but the entire narrative appeared to be mostly wrong or old news. The latest example of the challenge created by a barrage of similar conspiracy theories from Mr. Trump and his allies. They're trying to disorient you. We don't know what's real or true anymore. Ask your common person what happened. They won't have any idea. And this also gives ammo for those pro-authoritarians to say, oh, I can share this link. Doesn't have a fact check in the title because the fact check stuff is getting real stupid. That stuff might go debunked because it's getting really stupid. Nobody cares about this title of fact checking anymore. So he's giving those pro-authoritarians, here's the ammo for you to fight back when neutral parties or even Democrats or people on America First say, what's going on with all this spying allegedly stuff? Unbelievable quote right here. Listen to this. Upon close inspection, these narratives are often based on a misleading presentation of the facts or outright misinformation. They also tend to involve, wait for it, please listen to this part. This is from the article of Charlie Savage, the article headline I just read for you. They also tend to involve dense and obscure issues, so dissecting them requires asking readers to expend significant mental energy and time. And raising the question of whether news outlets should even cover such claims. This is one of the worst pieces of journalism I have ever seen in my life. That line alone, much less the other issues, is one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen put in print. He basically said, y'all don't need to get too deep into this kind of stuff. Y'all are too stupid. He just said, you, me, everybody, you are all not only deplorables, you are too damn stupid to understand what's going on. This is what the Democrat GOP establishment think of you and me. He literally put it in print. Why is this not... I mean, this is the biggest story in the US right now. The New York Times said the information in not just this, he's speaking generally speaking, all these issues that we talk about, Joe Rogan talks about, that we might get wrong at times, we have to do corrections or clarifications. He said they're too dense and obscure. It takes a lot of mental energy and time. You're goddamn right, it takes a lot of time. I'm doing it because you're not. Unbelievable. Raising the question of whether news outlets should even cover such claims. I don't even know what to say at that. I'm just gonna keep on moving. I have no idea what to say. And then he's using this whole thing as an example of what he just talked about. This latest example began with the motion that the special counsel Durham filed in the case against, this is what we talked about in the last segment, about his possible links. So they were talking about, well, it includes some old and new information. I put a link to the filing directly in the YouTube. We don't need the New York Times. We don't need the Washington Times. We don't need the Wall Street Journal. We can read it and look at it ourselves. The indictment further details, on this date, 2017, the defendant provided an updated set of allegations, including the Russian bank. So now we're talking about after the election. That's new. That's not what we talked about in the last segment. Relating to Trump, to a second agency. So what we talked about, if it's September, was the FBI. What we're talking now is the CIA. Who goes to the CIA? So Sussmann did the same thing he did with the FBI, allegedly, to the CIA. Who goes to the CIA with information that the CIA should know is bunk? He expected the CIA to be in on this cabal, to do whatever they needed to do. And here's my opinion. This is allegedly. It was basically, I'm here on behalf of Hillary. Boss? The one that was allegedly with Pete Davidson? Like Hillary. So I'm here on behalf of Hillary, Mr. CIA. Do what you need to do. That's what it comes across to me. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. Why would you go to the intelligence agency that should know what's real or not with no verifiably false information about Trump if it wasn't a message of that, hey, you all need to make this happen? That's what was going on. It's right there in the documents, Charlie Savage. I don't need you. This one was not hard to read. Tech Executive 1, I showed this yesterday, and others had assembled pertaining to Trump Tower, the New York City apartment, the EOP. The EOP is the Executive Office of the President. So this happened after he was president. How could it be the Executive Office of the President if he wasn't president? Who was he getting this from, Obama? So for Savage, he said none of this, well, he didn't cover this, so none of this was newsworthy for him. All he said was setting off a fervor in right-wing outlets. It's right there, Executive Office of the President of the United States. So it's afterwards. And they were talking about cell phone uses. The defendant further claimed that these lookups, when he was talking to the CIA now, demonstrated that Trump or his associates were using rare Russian-made wireless phones. Do you remember that? Rare Russian-made wireless phones in the vicinity of the White House. How would they be using phones in the vicinity of the White House? Were they outside the gates? Were they just outside the gates with it? Or it would be after they were president? I'm going to end with this. Percentage of Americans, this is from Axios, who trust traditional media is just falling off the cliff. Nobody trusts them. Why would you trust? This is just garbage. Why does that matter? The faith matters because if we don't trust the government, we don't trust the media, then where are we? There's no glue holding it together right now. I talked about yesterday, people know the stories. People are still missing this part of this story, of this polling, even today. it says they poll people who are following what we just talked about, not people who don't know it. People who are following it, 75% of them say, yeah, you got investigated. 2/3 of Democrats. So we were chatting on Twitter, and Bumbletron said he had a lengthy discussion with his wife about what's happening. How can we hope to have an informed conversation with any of our lefty friends and family if we all literally live in two separate realities? The truth isn't the truth for both of us. How are we going to do that? Somebody else came in and said, bingo, we're literally operating on two separate sets of facts. Is the sky blue or red? Then I said, we need revolutionary change. The civil conflict route is not revolutionary change. What it is getting people to fight against each other, and that gives the oligarchy the advantage because they have institutional power right now, and half of the people are with them. Revolutionary change is people on both sides holding the government accountable. So the government's not controlling either group that's making the revolutionary change. They don't want people to unite for that reason. Bumbletron said it. We go back to Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party. Back in 2008, they wanted to make sure that those two groups would never be the same. All you have to do is throw race into it. And now critical theory makes it even stronger. I talked about it. Hillary Clinton's comment, after you read all this and find out, you're like, man, she really said that about citizens knowing all this stuff, allegedly? Let me know what you think. That's all the topics I've had. I can chill a little bit. If anybody wants to chill, ask some questions. Those are the topics I had for today. Let me go through some comments here. Eric Smith, doing an @ to Dina Marie. I was going to vote for her. Then I remembered that I was done with her. I got to go back. Who is that? Hillary? Oh, yeah. Then there's that. Then there's Benghazi. Hillary's been, man, she's something. She's powerful. It's scary to even talk about her, to be honest. For me, not. But if you have any type of prominence, you might want to think twice about talking about that woman. That whole Clinton organization. Yes. I am somewhat familiar with Yuri. I've listened to YouTube clips where he basically talks about propaganda, and basically he's talking about the mass psychosis from back then, the strategy of governments to manipulate their people. I have to read more about him, though. I'm not a master or anything. Arizona Patriot has entered the chat. Yep, you're late, but it's all good. You can rewind it. I'm just chilling for about 5 more minutes. Then we'll see how many steps I can get. If you didn't see the beginning, my dog has a Fitbit, believe it or not. So I said, America's a great country. My wife got a Fitbit for our dog. They were giving them out for free at the vet. And if you want to keep it going after 6 months, you got to pay $5. So whatever. I don't think we're going to do that, but try to see what other chats we got going on. Yes. Always great to see Arizona Patriot. Brandon Rudder. Brandon Rudder. She's evil as F. We came, we saw, he died. Cackles like a witch. I'm just let that speak for itself. Dina Marie just mentioned the Discord. Let me get the chat for it. I am going to be more active in the Discord. I want to put topics I'm working on and other things in there. Basically, anything that I would tweet, I'm going to put in the Discord so we can continue the discussion. Thank you to Casual Goats for the suggestion on the Discord. Excellent suggestion. I'm just going to put a link in there. Thanks for mentioning that, Dina Marie. It's a good. I really like it too because anything happens on YouTube, we can keep in touch. There's the Discord. Let's see if I can check it out while I'm on the walk. It's pretty warm. A GoPro. Arizona Patriot says, that is awesome. I want a GoPro camera for my dog. I want a GoPro. You know, at one point I thought I was going to probably be doing more Tesla videos and I was going to get a GoPro. But you can, because I've seen, I don't know if anybody follows Uncle Hotep. Shout out to Uncle. We've chatted a little bit. He doesn't know who I am, but I think very highly of the old Hoteps. Even, you know, we have different opinions on things, but he does videos in the car. Very efficient. He's taking his kids to school or whatever and doing all that and having discussions. Efficiency is key when you're doing YouTube or really anything. Shelby Speaks says, how old are you? I probably look like I'm 60 years old right now, looking rough, cameras, low resolution. I'm 44. 44 years old. Just turned 44 in December. Thanks for all the comments. I'm just looking through. Dina Marie talked about Yuri. I got to do a full video on him, but I got to read up, and I'm not a master on him specifically. But I am going to do a segment. I don't know if it's going to come out today or whenever, so I'm not going to promise. But somebody asked, why does Russia want to overtake Ukraine? And I want to do that. And I have another segment coming up on this channel that I'm working on about Yemen. Comic Dave Smith. I am not an expert on Yemen, but Comic Dave Smith was on with Joe Rogan recently, and he is an expert on Yemen. So I want to play some of his clips and talk about it from our standpoint. What does that mean for the common person? I'm getting a little bit more into the foreign affairs because it's hard not to nowadays. It's hard not to. Okay, well, I'm going to be signing off. But if you came in late, hit rewind. They haven't taken this one down yet. Hopefully this one stays up. None of these videos stay monetized. They always automatically demonetize them. The same thing happened to my boy Warren Redlick, who does Tesla talk. He doesn't do any politics, and his lives are always demonetized by default. Now, sometimes you can go back in and say, hey, this shouldn't have been demonetized. Then they'll redo it. But by that time, you only have like 24 hours to really have your video to get views for the most part. But if you haven't heard, I'm trying to use this. I'm trying to use this channel to kind of do segments and then put them on other channels just to see what's going on. So I appreciate all the support. If politics, let me look at this comment here. If politics get too toxic, I'd like to see you document a good channel with your mom about Jamaican cuisine. Yes. Oh my gosh, my mom is not a fan of me doing the YouTube because it's a risk. This is not my job. I'm not making any money off. I'm making pennies off of it, but it's very fun. But yeah, I should do a segment on going even beyond like beef patties, which is a staple. Oh, my mom used to make the best homemade. My wife can't even believe it when I tell her. So you have to do this puff pastry. Every culture has their own kind of puff pastry with meat inside of it, and Jamaicans have beef patty. But she would make the puff pastry from scratch. Those beef patties used to be so good. Do you know how much work it was? I mean, she'd be in the kitchen all day. If people knew she was making those beef patties, cousins come over. I have 2 other brothers. We'd eat them. She would be working in the kitchen all day. Make, I don't know, 30 beef patties. They'd be gone in a half an hour. They'd be gone in a half an hour. And she would eat like half of one. We'd be like, Ma, you're not going to eat one? And then we would have to literally like force her to keep one. Cooking is love. It really is. Oh, Arizona Patriot, thank you so much. That is not, as Eric July, I do some super chats with Eric July. If you ever catch him live, he'd be like, that's not cheap. Appreciate you, Arizona Patriot. Thank you so much for the super chat. She just did a super sticker. But I appreciate your support. I want to see if anybody think this. Let me plant this seed before I go out. If anybody is interested, if you want to be, do an interview, like I was watching Amazing Lucas, and he, and other people too, Tim Black, they do where they have people, really call in. So I can give you a link, or we can do a phone call or whatever, get some thoughts from especially those who are really thoughtful in the chat. If you want to, let's talk about it on Discord, and maybe I'll make a thread or something like that, and we can set it up and say, hey, what's the topic? What do you want to talk about? Get your voice out there. If you want to promote anything, whatever the case is, I want to definitely return the love. All right, I'm going to be out. Actually got out a little early this time. My wife would be proud. Happy wife, happy life. This is Apollo Brown Instrumental. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Take care. Peace.